Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel today. I'm Kevin, and today we're back to our Second World War topic. Our topic today is about the war in the Pacific again. I know in the last topic, I mean, in the past, we've already have the topic to talk about the Pacific Road, where the Allies used the Pacific Seas to become the way to deliver weapons and service with their other allies. But today, we will mainly talk about the biggest war between the Japanese and the America in the Second World War during the time of 1944. So back then, the Allied campaigns to clear the Pacific of Japanese forces gained an unstoppable momentum. But of course, even when they experienced countless defeats, Japan was not yet a spent force. While many of its islands was isolated and starved to submission, those who were attacked, instead of being starved, fought almost to the last man. And Japan's navy was still among the most powerful in the world. In May at the same year, US forces invade Biak. This is an island north in the north of the New Guinea, and it's also a vital stepping stone to take on the Philippines and went on to take the Marianas Chain. The Japanese, hearing that, counterattacked by sending a large fleet under Admiral Ozawa Shapuro to repel the invader. Ozawa's forces contained four Japan's largest aircraft carrier and more than 300 planes took off to attack the Admiral Mark A. This is the mightiest US fleet. They were heading for a disaster. On June 19, American pilots had already shot down more than 200 of the Japanese planes near the Marianas Island, losing only 30 on their own side. Planes fell out of the sky just like birds fell down being shot by the hunter, and because of that, this battle was also known as the Marianas Turkey Shoot. The same day, US submarines sank two Japanese aircraft carriers, and the following day, the US dive bombers sank another one. By the end of the battles, Admiral Ozawa only left with 35 planes. The impressive Japanese carrier forces that won over many wars now is nothing but destroyed. By August 10, American forces has cleared the islands of Saipan, Tinian, and Guam in the Marianas Chain. The fighting has been hard. At Saipan, more than 30,000 Japanese troops had fought to death, and another over 22,000 committed suicide. The loss for Japan was extremely serious. The American control of the islands gave them the advantage that they have the air bases to launch their P-29 Superfortress bomber to attack the Japanese major cities. That is only 2,000 kilometers to the north. In October in 1944, a vast US invasion fleet of 700 ships and more than 200,000 troops stormed toward Leyte in the Philippines, ready to tackle the Japanese garrison of 70,000 troops. And in a final desperate attempt to counteract the invader, the Japanese used all that they have left in the force. The two sides met at the Battle of Lake Gulf. This battle possessed a terrible risk for the Japanese because if they lost their oil supplies in the east, the oil supplies in the east will be cut down completely, and the naval power would be destroyed since the lack of fuel. And of course, from October to 23 to 25, the United States and Japan fought the greatest battle sea in history. The sea battles, sorry. So, over a vast area of the Pacific Ocean, about the size of France, became their battle war. Their battle cries. And although it was touch and go at time, the Americas slowly gaining victories. So eventually they outflanked the Japanese, and at the end of the war, Japanese lost 26 ships, including the Musashi, one of the most biggest and powerful battleships on the world. And the United States only lost 7 ships. The stake at Leyte Gulf was so high that the defeat of the Japanese completely guaranteed that they will lose the war. But Japanese were not going to surrender easily, even though they know what's coming. During the battles, American sailors were horrified to see that Japanese pilots using their own life to drive their planes to crash it down on the American ships. This dramatic last-ditch method was used to suicide pilots, who were called the kamikaze, meaning divine wine. I mean divine wind. Sorry, I just mispronounced. So they had never used these tactics before. But over the following years, more than 1,000 Japanese airmen, mostly young and inexperienced, or in short, they are no, let's say, they are no use in experience and long fight, has become the kamikaze, and of course, suicide sacrifice themselves to destroy the American ships. And this method, though it was very cruel, but it was effective. Altogether, the kamikaze pilots managed to sink over 34 American ships, and that doesn't count those who are not in the list, and damage a further of 288 more ships. So it was proof that even when the Japanese are on the verge of loss, they still keep their spirits high and, of course, fought with everything they had. They even create the special forces named Kamikaze to destroy the American ships. But after all, even when they cause a major loss to the Allied side, they still take the defeat, and the Allies eventually conquer and get the triumph. Alright? So that's all I want to talk yesterday about the war, official war between the Japanese and the American in the Pacific War. Of course, they are not going to lose the war yet. They are just on the way to lose it. And this is one of the the biggest turning point to turn the Japanese from an emperor, a big emperor in the world back then, to a losing countries. All right. So that's all I want to talk to you guys today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And now I think it's time for us to say goodbye. Then see ya.